Toronto Police this week released a 23-page report into their investigation into the July 22, 2018 rampage Danforth shooting by 29-year-old Faisal Hussein. The report is detailed as one would expect, but the single-paragraph conclusion, stating they were unable to find a motive, left more questions than the previous 22 pages answered. The report details all of the items seized by the police in their initial search of the Thorncliffe apartment, where the shooter lived with his Pakistani-born parents. Clearly, there was evidence turned up in the investigation that Hussein dealt drugs, but they also turned up magazines and ammunition for weapons never found. The report doesn't explain why that was, why the weapons were never found, or what efforts were taken to try and track them down. Chief among these is the AK-47 semi-automatic rifle associated to the loaded AK magazine that they did find. Where was that weapon? They also found loaded magazines for other weapons, and no info was provided relative to the weapons that they were for. The report refers to searching for a storage locker but provides no further information. The police refer to foreign travel done by Hussein, but the report doesn't explain anything further. We know from media reports at the time, citing police sources, that he had traveled to Pakistan, but we don't know exactly when or for how long. And the report doesn't detail anything further, save and except to say that detectives are prepared to travel wherever as needed. That seems a little strange to me, inasmuch as Canada has intelligence assets in Pakistan that track the movements of Canadians coming and going, what they do, who they meet, and that sort of thing. One would think that the Toronto Police would have followed that line of investigation, and perhaps they did, but the report is mute on that subject entirely. The problem with that is, and I said this at the time in viewing videos of the active shooter situation, is that he must have had some level of training. He calmly walked through the streets of Toronto's Greektown, indiscriminately firing into shops, restaurants, and at pedestrians that he encountered. We know he had at least 7 magazines for the Smith & Wesson 40 cal semi-auto pistol he was using. He purchased those in April, according to the police report. This would have given him somewhere between 70 and 105 rounds of ammunition, depending on the size of the clips. Clearly in the video, he is seen emptying the weapon, and as he continued calmly walking, ejecting spent magazines, inserting another, racking a new round, and shooting more. This would be totally, in my view, virtually impossible for a neophyte to guns to do. Police uncovered nothing to indicate he had any training or indeed the appropriate documentation Canadians need to purchase firearms, which includes rudimentary training. So, where did he get the training he did have? The police report is mute on that subject. The forensic digital analysis that police conducted on the various phones and devices they seized, except for vague references to a vague fascination with 9/11 and the Columbine school shooting, but really anyone can get access to anything on the internet at their local library, internet cafe, so that really doesn't tell us the whole tale. ISIS did claim responsibility for the shooting, and the report sheds no light on that. It does talk about issues he had with the mental health system years earlier, and says he was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. It also says he had taken in the past psychotropic meds, leaving the impression, without actually saying it, that mental illness was the reason for the violent rampage. Now, I'm not close enough to the investigation to draw a conclusion of any sort. What I can say is I still have many unanswered questions after reading the police investigation report. What caused him to walk down Toronto streets indiscriminately shooting innocent people, wounding 13 and killing 2, including a little girl, is chief among them. For True North, I'm Leo Knight. Unlike the mainstream media and the CBC, we're not getting millions in taxpayers' dollars. We rely on Canadians like you for our entire existence. If you like the content of True North, please go to tnc.news and donate. Thank you for supporting independent journalism.